Hello, good morning, still morning. My name is Jenessa White, or Jay. My pronouns are she or they, either one, your choice. And today we are going to talk about testing. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to test, because everybody here works in different applications, they use different languages, and really how you test is up to you. But we are going to talk about why it's important and how you might get to a place of testing that you feel comfortable with. So, I have been in the tech world for a little over 4 years now as an engineer. I started off in customer support. I was a technical project manager, and then I became a software engineer after doing that stint for about 2 years. Currently, I'm an engineer at a company called Convertkit. We build email marketing software. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm an athlete. That's my world. Sometimes software engineering feels a bit like a side gig, if I'm being honest. My bachelor's degree is in kinesiology. I was a personal trainer for 3 years post-undergrad, and for context, I'm only 8 years post-undergrad, so that kind of shows you where I'm at. I'm also a tight end for the Minnesota Vixen, which is the women's pro football team here. Thank you. And I was a rower in college. So that kind of like athletics really, my whole mindset is framed that way. I approach everything that way. You don't just become something overnight. You don't just have a skill set overnight all of a sudden, and you don't have like the ability to just do something overnight. You have to grow that skill set. You have to build your strength constantly. And that's true from athletics to software, which is why we're here today. Talk about a problem that I've experienced and I've seen others experience in software, testing. Now, from my seat, which on Twitter, which I love, I'm addicted to Twitter, it's a problem, and on Reddit, which is kind of like I'm dipping my toe into Reddit, it's kind of intimidating, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do on there, but I read a lot on those platforms. And testing is, it feels kind of like divisive, like people aren't sure where they stand on it, they have really strong opinions about it. There are some people out there that really believe in 100% coverage, which is a lie. Like I don't understand. It's not possible. 100% coverage is not a real thing. And if you think it's a real thing, we can talk after this because I want to know how you got there. Some people believe that like if you're testing your back end, everything's fine. If those tests are passing, everything's fine. I am a front-end engineer at like my core, and I know that that is also a lie. If you are testing the back end and not testing the front end, we have a problem. Some people don't care about testing at all. They just pass the buck off to QA or the front-end engineers, and they're like, you deal with it, you figure it out, which also makes no sense. So that tells me a few things, that there's a disconnect. Some people might be scared to do it. They don't know how to approach it. A lot of times as humans, we just are just like, it's fine. We'll just deal with it later. We just put it off and we procrastinate, we kick the can down the road. But testing is such an important piece of software. It's just like exercise is important for our lives. There are all kinds of ways to test. You can do unit tests, smoke tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests. There's software that will help you write your tests. There are literal people that testing is their job, test engineers. There are QA engineers that help write testing systems. And just like there are many ways to exercise. So you can cycle, you can weightlift, you can row, you can do CrossFit, or you can do a new favorite that I have watched the world discover, pickleball. Now, I know some of you play pickleball. Have any of you played pickleball? Don't lie. Yes, okay. Seriously, I want to try it. I've been too scared to like just go to pickleball on my own, so like let's chat later about pickleball. Okay, so we know we should write tests. We want to write tests, but how do we approach it? Sometimes we get so overwhelmed by the thought of something that we just back out. Sometimes we don't know where to start, so we just don't start. Isn't that like why we have like 100 domains in our like domain management system? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna start a thing. And you think about it, and you think about it, and you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna start a thing, but I'm gonna squat on this domain. Yeah, same. I have 30 of them. So, when we are at work, we're not often working on something new. We're not often spinning up new projects all the time. We are picking up where others left off. We're paying for the mistakes of our past, from our younger selves, our less wise selves. We're rewriting something piece by piece across multiple languages or frameworks. Like currently at work, we're rewriting something from old Angular to React. And if you've ever tried to do anything like that before, you know that testing that might be complex, to say it nicely. It might be hard. And so when we experience things like that, we're like, forget it. We'll do it later. When things hinder us, we tend to abort that mission and just move on to something else or ask somebody else to do it. We fall back to relying on QA, code reviews, looks good to me. Our local environment, yeah, yep. You chuckle because you know it's true. You wrote it this morning. If it works on my machine, right? And call it good. And then we leave ourselves open to all kinds of issues in the future. Similar to how we know we should be moving our bodies to the best of our ability, but we get bombarded with so many things. What types of exercise should I be doing? How long am I supposed to be doing it? Do I need a trainer? Should I get to a gym membership? Also, influencers on Instagram. How many sources of information do we have? We get information fatigue. We get a little anxious. We do maybe a couple things not quite right. We feel a little bit of pain, and then we back off. So, how do we do better? How do we start? Well, if you wanted to become a better athlete, how would you do it? One step at a time. What's the saying? How would you eat an elephant? One bite at a time? Testing is the same thing. Everything we do is the same thing. So, you might do a little research, make a plan, have a goal, ask for accountability from people that in your lives, families, partners, friends. Just like if you were at work, you would ask for accountability from your teammates, maybe your manager, and maybe different people across the organization. And then you figure out a way to track things. We track our metrics in many ways. We have so many systems for tracking metrics. So, at Convertkit, we wanted to write more tests. We had a Rails app that was tested really well, but we were still experiencing a lot of issues, a lot of bugs that we couldn't quite figure out how or why something was happening. And so our squad, we have an engineering team, and then we have individual squads. So our individual squad started talking about what was happening. We needed to figure out what was going on. We took a look at our JavaScript test coverage, and it was not good. It was poor. It was less than 20%. Yes, exactly. And there were many reasons for it, right? A growing company that grew really fast as far as engineering people go, where you have maybe 6 or 7 people that wrote this whole thing a long time ago in a different framework. And as they started bringing in more and more people, the people that started that broke off and led different teams, different pieces of our application. So I end up on the team that mostly writes the front end at Convertkit. And my EM is one of the people that wrote a lot of what we were working on, but there are many people that wrote a lot of what we're working on that are not there anymore. or they're working on something else. And it was in Angular. A lot of it was in Angular. Now a lot of it has been rewritten into React. So we had to come up with a plan, a goal. And it wasn't some all-in effort right away. It was just a squad goal. We're going to work our way to 50% test coverage. Now, you might be thinking, 50%, that's it? Yeah, 50% is it. When you're starting under 20, 50% is a lot, right? Think about it. If you're strength training and you have a goal to eventually squat 300 pounds, and you can squat 80 pounds right now, right? So that's 26%. Would you solely focus on 300 pounds? Maybe. But realistically, how many of us would quit along the way? Maybe like 2 or 3 times. You start, you can't get there, and you just quit. Even though you're hitting all of these other milestones, you hit 100 pounds, you hit 120, 150. We miss a lot of small victories along the way when we only focus on the big goal. We often try to take these huge leaps and bounds that leave us exhausted and discouraged. And if we don't make our goal in a fast enough time that we arbitrarily made up, we feel unaccomplished or like we failed. Now, could we have gone faster and just got it done? Could we have sacrificed a cycle of feature work to reach a bigger goal, like 90%? Let's be real. The answer to that is probably absolutely not, because we report to product teams, right? Product teams aren't often going to be like, oh yeah, go ahead, take that 6-week cycle off and write a bunch of tests. That's not how business works. But let's say they were being generous, right? Let's say they were all in, like, yeah, go for it, write tests. Let's get 90% coverage on JavaScript. Okay. But would it be healthy to like heavy squat every day for 6 weeks? No. Personally, I don't want to spend 1,200 plus hours writing tests. That sounds terrible. Now, I don't imagine a lot of you want to spend that much time writing tests either. So, you have to break things up. You have to train the skill, and it takes time. You are on a team of people. You're not just often writing all of these things by yourself. On my squad, there's 7 of us. And you have to start with smaller goals. If you're starting out at 26%, why not make your first goal that 50%? Why not make that first goal that 150 pounds over the course of the next few cycles, right? That way, you are taking the opportunity to learn, grow, improve your application's stability by writing these tests, but you're also working on feature work. You're also having a bunch of meetings that we all have for whatever reason that I can't yet figure out. If you're working towards incorporating testing into your workflow, there are a lot of things that you have to get right. There's ways to figure out how to integrate your test runner, where in the process that you need to review testing and make sure that it's the appropriate testing, right? We use something called coveralls. Yeah, coveralls. That on a PR that I push, it immediately tells me whether or not I'm raising the test coverage or lowering it. Immediate feedback. And there are different ways to do that across different places. And if you're working on those things, there's a lot of foundational things that need to be correct before you start adding more and more percentage on, before you start adding more and more weight onto your squat. You need to be able to move well and able to move heavy, right? It also puts less pressure on your teammates. You might be on a team, you're hopefully on a team with various levels of engineers. Hopefully it's not just a bunch of senior engineers on your team. That's weird and I don't like it. So not everybody's going to be well-versed in testing. Heck, even some senior engineers are not well-versed in testing, which is how we got here in the first place. So you have to remember that you're collectively trying to reach this goal. Not everybody is going to be able Not everybody is starting out with the squat ability of even squatting 180 pounds, right? That's a team average. So you have to come up with a plan that works for your team and that you all can support while still challenging yourselves. You have to give yourselves room to learn. You have to give yourselves room to grow, to question things, and you have to give yourselves room to fail. And this is where everything really starts. This is where your journey begins. You come up with these small goals, and this is where the magic happens. So, in Convertkit, we started our plan. We had every PR, we knew you had to add at least one test, right? Small goal. It can even be a simple render test. I'm writing a new component. Does it render on the page? Yes? Cool. Plus 0.0012%. But it was going up. So we started having more pairing sessions, which is an amazing thing. We started being more direct on our PR reviews, or our PRs, right? So like, if you're looking at something and you don't see a test for something, you call it out. Hey, all of this part of this is working well and it looks great, but you don't have a test. You need to add a test. Or you can do it the Minnesota nice way. Hey, this is great, but maybe we can add some tests for this. One of these ways leaves the door more open for people to say no. And it's not the first one. Don't do the second one. We had more things to talk about in stand-ups, check-ins, and one-on-ones. We had good conversations about when certain tests are better to run than others. How many unit tests do you need? How many integration tests do you need? Are we going to do end-to-end testing as individuals, or are we going to have QA run end-to-end tests because of how much time they take? If you ran into something weird in your testing, or you all of a sudden find something that you thought was working one way that was completely doing another thing, which explains all of these bugs in Bugsnag, testing. We had a great goal, and we had clear metrics. A simple line chart that could tell us over time, are we increasing our test coverage? And you can add something on your PRs, like I mentioned, coveralls to just immediate feedback. There are so many ways you can incorporate testing that will work for your organization. You just have to take the time to do it, don't rush it, and know that not everything is going to work for everybody, including within your engineering department as a whole. Some people might run tests one way, people might find that running tests another way works better. Now, some of this might sound like I'm viewing this through like rose-colored glasses. I might be, because I work in an environment that really encourages us to go out, try new things, and try to make our application as well as possible. Like, if we see a problem, we have the time to fix it. And I know personally that that's not how every organization works. Some places are going to be really hard to convince people that you need to take the time away from building the new shiny thing to shore up all the stuff that is already there. And we haven't been perfect either. We started this goal of 50% coverage, and we don't magically have 90% coverage now. Like, we didn't just go straight through and keep increasing it. We fail sometimes. Sometimes we get caught up, and we have gotten caught up in feature work. The speed, the pressure of it, bugs that, come through and they just like crash the whole thing, and that you have to triage. And it is what it is. You look back at your coverage and you've submitted 7 PRs that have brought down coverage 1% every time because you didn't write any tests because you were so busy focused on something else. And nobody else cared because you were fixing something. And that's okay. It's not about being perfect every time. None of this hardly is about being perfect every time. If we were perfect every time, we'd probably work ourselves right out of a job. You don't walk into the gym every day and add more and more weight. There's going to be a plateau at some point. And it's about figuring out the why and adjusting. Did we stop reviewing PRs thoroughly? Did we stop talking about it and checking in our metrics? Did our test suite stop running for some reason? We've had that happen where all of a sudden it just stops running. And it's like because there was like no billing update or something like that. Like, what the heck? We're not setting ourselves up for success. So, like we mentioned before, this is a journey. Testing is a journey, especially when you're not starting out on something brand new. Now, if you're starting out on something brand new, really the world is your oyster. Like, get your test in right away. You can even try TDD, test-driven development, which is very hard once you're already in a code base to start doing TDD. One of those other things that's like, how realistic is TDD? I don't know. Feels magical to me. So, something else that might happen is pushback. We talked about this. We don't work in silos. We're not the engineering, product, C-level, marketing people all in one. We're just one piece of the puzzle. There are going to be people out there that are like, do you really need to squat 300 pounds? Yes, I do. It'll make me feel better. But you know what? They're right. I don't need to. Sure, there are business reasons not to take this time away, but there are also business reasons to fix it. So let's talk about the business reasons. How many support tickets, late nights, on-call, like pages when you're like in the middle of grocery shopping at Target have you gotten that probably could have been helped by testing? A few of them. I've had a few of them. A couple, like 2 weeks ago, where if I would have written a test, it would have caught it, and then I wouldn't have to rush to my laptop in the car. Testing allows us to manage regressions more easily, help us refactor and make sure that we're catching things before they go to production, and help us more quickly identify what might happen in the future. They help us plan and think more effectively. If you're doing TDD, you're thinking through all of these different cases that might happen and writing your software accordingly, versus just like, I know I need this input to do this thing over here. You write the test first, you're like, okay, if this data comes back looking like this or this or this or this, how do we handle that? And then you write your software accordingly. So there are definitely important cases to be made about testing. And it's important to support our teammates who want to make that effort and give them the space to do so, whether it's starting testing brand new or restarting a testing effort from the past. If you have 20% coverage, somebody was writing tests at some point, and for some reason it stopped. So it's about restarting those efforts and making sure that we stay on it and stay vigilant. We give each other the space to grow. This is important for a lot of reasons that some are for another talk, for another day, but I'll leave you with this one. The way we treat each other and the way we meet each other where we're at sets the foundation for the way we treat new engineers in the future and the type of software we build. The empathy that we show towards each other, we put into the software that we build. The diversity that we have on our teams goes into the software that we build. And that's important. And so testing is a lot to think about. Squatting 300 pounds is a lot to think about. It's a lot of weight. And it's not some small feat. It's not something that comes easily or quickly, but it is a possible one. And you might be thinking, okay, great, we'll get right on that. Or you must be really good at it. Why don't you come work for us and you write the test? I'm not going to do that. You're going to do it yourself. Sometimes we're going to get stagnant. Like I said, we haven't met our goal quite yet, but we're working on it every day. Every day we're trying to push it forward. And that's really where the growth comes. It's like, how do you respond to failure? How do you respond to pushback? It's not about the destination. It is about the journey. I believe that. On a journey like this, you're bound to learn a lot about the way your applications are structured and the way they work and the ways that they don't work that you thought they worked. You're bound to have new action items out of those discoveries. hopefully action items that you can take to your product team and say, hey, we need to put this on the roadmap because this is going to be an issue in the future when you want to work on A, B, and C. And another thing I hope you take away from this is that how we support our team and how you advocate for your team and ultimately yourself when it comes to things like this, technical things that don't often show on like the roadmap for product or marketing. It's not often something that your company is going to tweet about or put in an Instagram story. These are the things that push your organization forward. These are the things that make you all better. And sometimes you're going to have off days. Sometimes you're not going to feel like it. Sometimes that test duty is just not going to pass, no matter what you do. And it's okay. It's okay to step back, talk to a coworker or a teammate, and figure out what is happening. Remember, we don't work in silos. We work in teams. And sometimes you're going to be just cruising along. Everything's going to be going so well. And just remember that as long as you're trying, you're getting stronger every day, and you're developing strength in that skill. So take those first steps, keep trying, keep focused on your smaller goals, keep building brick by brick. Each added percentage for your test coverage is a step in the right direction. Thank you.